Let me show you how I built this awesome fold-out stove. One of the hinges broke off recently. You can see one is still on there. I'll show you, it's on the underside. But that's the one that broke off, and it shattered the wood a little bit. So we're just going to take it off. There's the hinge. And turn it around and put it back on a different side where the wood isn't damaged. Those are where the hinges used to be. Right there, it lined up. And what I'm going to do is turn it around and do it like this. Fortunately, the hinges are still usable. So I'm just going to take what I have and show you how I do it. You can see that I've already got the propane burner drilled into this piece of wood. I only used 3 screws. It's pretty tight. It doesn't look like it needed any more. It was pretty simple. I just drilled a few holes and then screwed it right into the wood. There is a hole within that wood so that the burner fits into it. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, let's look at the underneath of this piece of wood. You see how the propane burner has like a depth to it? And that's the part that screws into the green can or another fitting for a propane tank. But you want to cut that hole in the piece of wood that you're going to put the burner on so that it runs flush with the wood. And the screws do stick out. I should probably cut those down at some point, but just don't see the point. Underneath, this is the green can. And although this is upside down, that is how it fits in. We'll show that a little bit better later. Here's one of the hinges. It's still on. I do have to take that one off. And then I'm going to move it over to the other side. And the other hinge that I've already removed, I'll put next to it on the same side. These are all the screws that I have. I keep them in a Tupperware lid. And then the other hinge. I have more screws than I need. And I also have this stopper wood, and you'll see what that's used for in a minute. It's basically going to go right there so that it holds up the arm, one of these sides. I'm not sure. You'll see. I'll show you in a moment. That piece of wood down there on the tarp has a notch. You see the notch right there? And it rests on an arm that I built into the door. And that way, both angles, the notch and that angled side, are both 90-degree angles. So they hold up against that stopper wood on the propane burner shelf. And what I'm pointing at right here is just how there's wood built around this hollow of the door. You don't have to do that. I was just running out of wood when I built it, so I kind of jigsawed it all together. So this is the arm. It rests on that inner piece of wood. You can see where if it rested up against the framed wood, it would fall down and slip and slide. It wouldn't be a secure way of holding up that burner. And this way, that notch and that arm will sit flush to the wood and hold up the burner shelf. So on this table, we have everything we need. We've got, hopefully this has enough charge. I only charge it for a little while, but just a power drill. The piece of wood that the burner is already screwed into in 3 parts. I didn't do 4 because it didn't really need it. It's pretty sturdy. It's not going anywhere. This is just loose because it's old, but we cut a hole in the bottom. You can get a long hinge. You can get a long hinge, which is called a piano hinge, or you can do like me. I'm just going to do 2, but I'm going to move this one over here and then have this one over here because this part broke off. And the grain actually goes this way, so it's probably better for it to be screwed into something against the grain. Okay, we have some screws here. The 2 long ones are going to be for the stop, which is where this will rest up against. So this will be, I can't really show you with one hand, but the burner and this piece of wood will rest on top of these, but this will be screwed into this. So even though this is upside down, just try to picture it the other way. This will be like this. Actually, it's going to be like this. It's a 90-degree angle here. And then just a piece of wood to hold it up in place. Then this notch will rest along that bar, which is screwed to the entire frame on the inside of the door with that hollow piece. It's got a hollow piece in it. So yeah, consider that, whatever. Then we've got the small screws for the hinges. And I have more than I need for these, for the hinges. I just like to have extra because I have dropsies a lot. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is unscrew the rest of this last hinge. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Bitch. think it's trying to screw in. I had it on the wrong way. There we go. I always keep a dish nearby whenever I'm using screws and stuff, because especially near the van, I don't want anything left on the ground. I want everything to be contained. A magnetic tray would be even better, but I don't happen to have one. So now I can show you once I screw this part in, but I can't really do that until I put the hinges on. So let me do that part first. By doing that, I'm actually not going to use the same holes as I did last time, just because they're going to be stripped. I don't have room for this thing. And the whole reason you have that hollow in the door is so this can fold down and fit into the hollow and not stick out like this. So. I'm not a big measurer. I just do what I want. Because your girl's lazy, okay? Okay. You want to make sure the hinge sticks out just a little bit. Like, it only sticks out a few millimeters here from the wood, but you don't want it completely flush. You want a little bit of room for it to be on the wood. If you put it too far into the wood, like in more, you won't be able to screw this part into the back. Now I'm going to finish screwing them in. A vice grip would probably have been better, but like, whatever. All right, so now we have the hinges. And these, that's a little weak. It's a good thing there's two other things. See, eventually I'm going to fix this, but I want to show you guys the gist of like how to make it before I repair it. I really don't want to put a lot of more money into this fan, and it's hard to find this perfect piece of plywood unless you buy a huge sheet for like 50 bucks. All right. Now we're going to take a pen. Okay, now we have to take, these are the old hinge marks. I don't want to screw them into the same spot just because that's going to be worn out after a while. So I like this height. I'm good with this height, but I am going to mark with a pen just under here. And now I have to do it again because it fell. Honestly, there's an easy way to do this. Hold on. We're going to screw one side in. I did want to move this over a little bit because when it was over here, it was like catching on the chair, and I don't want to do that. So okay, and then I'm going to do one on the other side. Now, that's pretty good. See how that goes flush in the door? But I am going to have a support on there, so it'll still stick out a little bit, but that's okay. I want to get the other screws in there. Always make sure that your screws, that these screw heads are going to be bigger than the hole for the hinge. And these are just right. Any smaller, and obviously the screw will go right through the hole. And you need it to anchor to the screw. Okay. A little bit more. Here we go. And we're good. Eventually I'm going to have to replace this, but I just want to show you guys the basics of how to do it. Okay. Now what we need, and unfortunately when this goes down, it will not go flush because this piece of wood, I hope you can see that. Okay. So now I need to put this support here, right? And all I do is just put 2 screws in here, right into this piece of wood, and this acts as a block to hold this piece of wood in. So it's just wedged in there and it stays there. But when I put this down, it's going to hit the side. And that's okay. I don't care if it's not completely flush. It'd be great, but if I do it any closer, then this will be in the way of the propane tank that hangs down. And we want to make sure we have a complete clearance of that. So we're going to put it over here. Okay? Okay. Right there. I want to see if it's level. Now, I have a level somewhere, but I don't feel like getting it out. So we're not going to fuck with it right now. We're going to mark this pen. Oops. And check it. Oh, it's too high. Too high. Too high. Okay. No, that's too low. Okay. That still looks a little bit crooked to me. But that's about right. We can do that. Okay. And if I mark over here, then I can mark over here, and then I can mark over here. And here is where I want the 2 screws, maybe a little bit in more. Okay, so we grab the long screws for this. And I'm going to drill them through here first. Okay. And then pull them out a little bit. And then line that up over here. Make sure that's going in properly. Okay. Oop, a little bit more over here. I want there to be room for that to catch. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to put it in a little bit more. Just because I want that wood to, this piece of wood to line up with this. So, but that's okay. Okay. Here we go. Oops. Okay. Now, it's just caught. No, it didn't. Fuck. It's really annoying. I don't know why it doesn't want to catch, but I need something to push it hard against. So, let me see if I can do it over here. Good. Oh, she's stubborn. There. Okay. Take another long one. I'm gonna put it right next to it. Right here. Okay. Let's see if that works, guys. Take our this. Perfect. There. And that's how I make my indoor-outdoor burner on my stove. That looks pretty level to me. It's not gonna be perfect. Ideally, I'd like to have 2 levels, 2 wedges, you know, planks. I don't know what you'd call that, a beam to balance it on. Push that in a little bit. There we go. That's better. But this has always worked well for me. I wouldn't put like more than a gallon of water on there, but it holds quite a bit of weight. So it's a little wobbly, but it's worked for me for 3 years. I'm gonna keep doing this until I find some better wood. And that's how I make my little thing. And then the green propane, which is this little guy. Just screws right into the bottom. Sometimes I have to push down. Get him in there. There we go. And then we just screw it tight. And always make sure I'm holding the bottom so it doesn't unscrew on top. Because this can come loose from that. We don't want that. So, yeah, it looks crooked. That's only because it's bent, because it's old, but it still works great. And in a little bit, I'll be cooking on it, and I'll show you guys that. You can tell that these are going to be stabby. There are already these ones that come through right here. But because it only folds down, I'm not really worried about it. They don't really stick out. I could cut them. These I'm probably gonna grind down, but for right now I'm just gonna leave it. But eventually I will grind it down. And there you go. Tonight I made some stir fry with zucchini and squash. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. Thanks for watching.